Hello, my name is John Puskas. I am a student in the Savvy Coders Full Stack Web Development course. And a little bit about my history. I used to work for Boeing. I split my time between the product lifecycle management team and also worked developing scripts, primarily working in Python and C Sharp. So I wanted to move into something fully dedicated to web development and specifically interested in JavaScript and using JavaScript as a full stack web development tool, which led me to Savvy Coders, and here I am now. So in this video, I'm going to go over my Capstone project, a little bit about the inspiration behind making it, uh, go over the project features, and a little bit on the process and planning that led to where the project is now. So I'm going to share my screen real quick here. And here we are at the home page of the application, which I've been calling track version track. Before I dive into all the features, I'm going to go into a little bit about what the motivation was to make this particular application and what purpose it serves. So I produce and write music, and for any song that I create, I'll have a lot of different versions of that song, sort of like this listing here with maybe a 5.3 or 4.5 as the version and maybe a couple of words as description in the file name, which isn't very helpful to find something in an old version, which came up for me a lot recently, where I would have my newest iteration that I was working on, and I'd find, oh, I need to pull in, say, a raw vocal from an old version. I would have to hunt through the old versions to find the particular one that was the last version that had that raw vocal that I could pull from. So that was a real time waster. And also, I had recently worked on a collaboration with someone who's not located here in St. Louis, Missouri, where I am. And he is in Vancouver, and we would be trading versions of our application back and forth, or sorry, song session back and forth. And he would make his changes and send them to me. I would make my changes and send them to him. And I was thinking, hey, wouldn't it be nice if I could somehow record and send to him the exact changes that I had made in each song session so he wouldn't have any guesswork to do? And the same, likewise, when he sent a session to me. So that's really what this application is about, is recording those changes and having them in one central place where, especially for collaboration, you can easily track what's going on from one iteration to the next. And it's something that might have wider application than just for, say, a songwriter or producer, where, say, if you're collaborating on a document file and you're wanting to create different iterations and have different changes with your collaborator, you can record exactly what changed with each version, and you know exactly what's been changed from one document to the next without actually having to open that document or do any sort of other comparison. So homepage here, just a little bit about the track version track application, which I was just going through, how it works, which we're going to go through shortly through the actual user interface. Since this application can maybe fit under the umbrella of a productivity app, I decided to use a third-party API to offer kind of a inspirational or motivational quote. So it call it the third-party API, and then a response gives a quote and the author of the quote. And each time you load the homepage, you get a different quote and author. So moving on, the real functionality, core functionality of the application is in the songs page, so I'll get to that last. Just real quick, here's the about page, a little bit more in depth about the inspiration behind making this application, a little bit about me. And then the contact me page, which is fully functional, where it will send me an email, my primary email address, if someone sends a message through the form. One update I would like to make in the near future in this is to use a different third-party API, another third-party API for this form, because currently it uses FormSpree, which causes the user to be pulled away from the application web page and see this kind of landing page for FormSpree. So I'd like to introduce another third-party API into the application and be able to make the user experience a little more seamless that way. So moving on to the core functionality, which is in the songs page and see song versions page, which we'll get to in a moment. Here's a list of songs that have been entered into the database, the song title, and a short description of what the song is. And so for any given song, you can edit it. The song is newer. So we've updated it, and here it is at the top with the updates made. And notice when you click the edit button, you maintain the previous entry here so that we don't have to start again from scratch. And you can delete the song. And with all of these songs in this database, which was quite a few, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if you could have pagination here so you don't have to scroll down through dozens of songs. So I did enable that feature. This is the last page of all of the songs, so there's only one left to display on the last page. But if you edit this last one like we saw before, say Frontier Call, and we edit the description a little bit, we'll update it, and then we are at the same page, which is intentional to kind of improve the user experience. They don't get pushed all the way back to page one. So the application actually tracks the user page or the page in the view that the user is on. So each time they make an update or even a deletion, that their page is maintained so they don't lose their place. So going back here, we can, this song doesn't have much of a description or title, so we can delete that one, and then maybe we want to add a new one. Let's give it kind of a generic name and description here. Save it, add it to the top here, and then the deletion, of course, gets rid of it. I would like to add a dialog box on that to give the user kind of a warning, a yes or no option. Do they confirm that they want to delete that particular song before it's deleted? So the heart of the application is in the C song versions, which for each song, that song's individual versions will be displayed when you click on the C song version. So if you click on this one, it will show its versions. If you click on this song, it will show its individual versions. Same interface. I try to keep things consistent across the app. You can add a new song version. So we'll do that real quick. And save it. And again, it's at the top of the list. And then you can edit it, just like in the songs page, and delete it, of course. So this page actually had some functionality that posed the greatest challenge for me, where the song versions are connected to an individual song. So these versions won't show up when you click on a different song. When you click on see song versions for this song, you're not going to get the same versions as what you see when you click on see song versions for this song. So these are all connected to a sort of parent document, I guess you could say, in the database for a song. And these are the sub-documents that are connected to the parent document. And that adds an extra layer of complexity when working with making changes or adding a new sub-document that's connected to an individual song. So if you see, you click the edit button, you have the update in this form, and add new. It's the same form, but it has a save button. So what I did in the code, and let me pull this over, is I had the code read the conditions where either that button is save, just to update the page, or the song version rather, or this is the update, I'm sorry, and this is to save a new one. And when you save a new song, it doesn't already have an assigned ID, which is assigned to the in the database once you create a new song. So the request for the um, API does not include a song ID that'll be written into the database through um, automatically. So through that kind of conditional logic, it will know to not have the ID, this is a new song, or it's an update to an existing song version. And it will pull the existing song version ID and apply the changes to the appropriate song version. So I solved that one largely by myself, and I'm pretty proud of finding a way to do it. I'm sure there are multiple ways this could be done, and I was glad to think through some way I can manage to do that. I also, in the process, both through receiving help with another feature and finding that I could do it in other places, learned about async await, which is a code functionality that will cause one line of code to execute, and then, as the name might imply, the next line that is to execute will await the finalization of the previous line's execution. So this is especially important when you're making API calls where you're calling the back end of the through the back end of the application, and you might not get your response for it could be a few seconds or a partial second, but that can be enough where the next line of code will execute too quickly as it moves down the call stack, and the not having the information it needs to execute that next line will create an error. So async await was invaluable for fixing that issue. So moving on to some future features I'd like to add. I'd like to add a user login and use best practices with uh, password storage, uh, secure storage. So that was a little bit beyond the scope of what we were, the core material of what we were learning in the course. So I decided to not do that with the initial iteration of this project, and it's something I will add in the near future. Another thing, I want to modernize the user interface, a lot of stylization to make it look like something that was made just today. And I would like to add a search functionality to the songs and song versions where the user can search for a specific term and find something either in the description or the title of the file. So those are some of the things that I'm most interested in adding in the near future. So moving on to the process and planning for this project, I used Mural for the user story map, and um, I think everything that's in here I really covered already earlier, but it's just a little bit about who's using the application, why they're using it, what problem it solves, who's using the application, that sort of thing. And then I have here a SWOT analysis where it's just the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for this application. So I went through that, made a list of different categories and kind of thought through how I could capitalize on opportunities and strengths and account for the weaknesses and threats. So one other planning quality that I had in the application was the wireframes. So this was for creating the layout beforehand, getting an idea of what the pages are actually going to look like beforehand. So as you can see, I originally was wanting to create a user login, but I eventually decided against that for reasons I already mentioned. So here's the layout that was in the application, the what is this app, how it works. The songs page, which I changed the layout a little bit. I put the song title at the top, the description right immediately below it, but largely the same with this list of songs. The sticky button was at top. These two functionalities I'm adding in the near future. Same basic layout with the song versions page. I wanted to keep things consistent, and the About Me page. So that is a lot of the planning, and then in the process of making this application, we worked as a class within a agile environment. Through the last half of the course, I worked as the product owner, which allowed me the benefit of kind of aiding and facilitating some of the agile ceremonies when we did daily stand-ups, retrospectives, sprint planning. Um, so this all culminated in gaining a certification in foundations of Agile through IC Agile, and that concludes everything that I would like to talk about today on this project. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and take care. Bye.